Have you ever wondered if the woman you're with, or the one you're dating, is secretly desiring intimacy right now, but just isn't saying it out loud? What if the signs are right there, subtle but powerful, and you've been missing them all along? If you've ever found yourself second-guessing her signals, or replaying moments in your head trying to figure out if she was really into it, then this video is for you, because today, we're diving deep into a comprehensive guide to 6 signs a woman is urgently desiring intimacy right now. But before we jump in, do me a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. Why? Because what you're about to hear could change your love life forever. You'll understand her signals. You'll stop doubting yourself, and you'll build a connection that's not only physical but deeply emotional too. Now let's begin our journey, not with cold facts but with stories. Because love, attraction, and intimacy aren't about bullet points. They're about real-life moments. Picture this, you're sitting across from her at dinner. The conversation is flowing. Laughter is bouncing between you. But something in her eyes feels different. It's like a spark that keeps flashing, as if she's speaking a hidden language with her body and her energy. You sense it, but you're not entirely sure what it means. That uncertainty, that mystery, is what so many men struggle with. We've all been there, confused by mixed signals, afraid of misreading the moment. But the truth is, when a woman is urgently desiring intimacy, her body, her voice, and her energy all align to send unmistakable signs. You just have to know how to read them. So let's unfold these signs, one by one through the lens of storytelling, because chances are, you'll see yourself in these stories. Sign 1, her eyes tell a story. Have you ever felt like someone's eyes were saying things their lips never dared to speak? It's a strange, almost electric moment. You catch her staring, but she doesn't look away. And in that gaze, there's something unspoken, something that feels like a secret only the two of you share. Let me tell you about my friend Alex again, because his story is the perfect example of this. He had been dating a woman for a few weeks. They had gone out a handful of times, coffee shops, dinners, long walks. Everything was comfortable, easy, and yet Alex couldn't quite figure out where things were headed. One night, they were sitting across from each other at dinner. The restaurant was noisy, the clinking of glasses and laughter filling the air, but in that moment, none of it mattered, because she was looking at him. Not just looking, locking on. Her eyes held his with a steady intensity. They didn't dart around the room. They didn't shift nervously to her plate. Instead, they lingered, and when Alex looked away just for a second, he could feel her gaze still on him, pulling him back like a magnet. That's when he noticed the details, the slight dilation of her pupils, the softness in her stare, the way her eyes occasionally flicked down toward his lips. It wasn't random. It wasn't casual. It was her body speaking a truth she wasn't yet saying out loud. I want you closer. I'm ready. Here's the thing most men miss. A woman's eyes betray her desires long before her words ever will. She could be shy, reserved, or even hesitant to verbalize what she's feeling. But her eyes, they give her away every time. Think about it. When you're deeply drawn to someone, don't your eyes keep finding them in the room? Don't you sneak glances or hold their gaze longer than you would with anyone else? That's human instinct. Desire lives in the eyes, and sometimes the signs are even more obvious. She may glance at your lips while you're speaking, as if picturing what it would be like to kiss you. She may blink slowly, almost dreamily, in a rhythm that draws you in, or her eyes might soften in a way that makes the whole world disappear except for the two of you. Let me ask you, have you ever had a woman look at you like you were the only man in existence? Maybe it happened on a date, maybe it was late at night after a long conversation, or maybe it was in the middle of laughter when her eyes just locked onto you. That was no accident. That was her telling you without words that she wanted more. So the next time you're with her, don't just listen to her words. Look at her eyes. Because often they're already speaking the truth her lips are holding back. And if you pay attention, you'll never doubt whether she desires you. You'll see it burning in her gaze. Sign 2, her touch becomes unmistakable. If eyes are the doorway to her desire, then touch is the bridge she uses to cross into your world. And when a woman urgently wants intimacy, her touch is never random, it's intentional, it's lingering, and it carries a weight that words could never capture. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine walking side by side with her late at night. The air is cool, the world feels quieter, and as you're talking, her hand suddenly brushes against yours. At first you dismiss it, Probably just an accident, you tell yourself. But then it happens again. This time slower, this time deliberate, and before you know it, her fingers are testing the space between you, almost inviting you to close it. That's exactly what happened to Marcus, a friend who once told me his story with a big smile on his face. He had been walking home with a woman he was seeing, and she kept finding reasons to touch him. A light tap on his shoulder when she laughed, a playful shove when he teased her, the way she reached for his hand just to steady herself, even though the street was perfectly even. He told me, it wasn't about the touch itself, it was about how long it lasted. She didn't pull away fast. She lingered. And that's the secret, lingering touch. When a woman is urgently desiring intimacy, she doesn't just touch and retreat. She lets it stay, she lets it sink in. Because that touch is her way of saying, I'm comfortable with you. I want to feel closer. I want more. Think back on your own experiences. Have you ever had a woman adjust your shirt collar when it didn't really need adjusting? Or brush a piece of lint off your jacket that you swear wasn't even there? Maybe she placed her hand on your arm while laughing. But instead of pulling back instantly, she left it there, letting her warmth blend into your skin. These aren't accidents. These are her subtle invitations. Her way of asking without words, do you feel this too? Touch is primal. Long before words existed, human beings used touch to communicate trust, affection, and desire. And in those moments, when her hand finds yours or her fingers trail just a little longer than necessary, she's speaking in the oldest language of all. So here's the truth. If her touch keeps returning, if she finds excuses to reach out to you, whether it's fixing your hair, holding your hand, or playfully brushing against you, it's not just casual. It's her way of breaking down the barrier of space, of telling you that she wants intimacy not later, not someday, but right now. The question is, will you notice, or will you shrug it off as coincidence? Because once you learn to recognize the power in her touch, you'll never doubt her desire again. Sign 3. Her voice drops into a softer rhythm. Have you ever noticed how a woman's voice can completely change the way you feel in a moment? 1 minute it's casual and lighthearted, and the next it's softer, slower, almost like it's pulling you into a private little world only the two of you share. That shift is no accident. When a woman desires intimacy, her voice often becomes a reflection of that desire. I'll tell you a story. My buddy Ethan once went on a date with a woman he'd been interested in for months. He said the conversation was normal at first, fun, playful, full of energy. But as the night went on, something shifted. Her voice, which had been lively and fast-paced, suddenly slowed down. It dropped into a lower, warmer tone, and every word seemed to melt into his ears. She wasn't just talking to me, Ethan said. It felt like she was whispering to my soul. That's the magic of vocal energy. When a woman is urgently desiring intimacy, she unconsciously changes how she speaks. Her tone becomes hushed. Her pitch lowers and her rhythm slows, as if she's inviting you to lean in, to come closer, to connect on a deeper level. Think about it. When someone is trying to get your attention across a noisy room, they raise their voice. But when someone wants to draw you in, when they want closeness, they do the opposite. They lower their voice, forcing you to move closer, making you feel like you're sharing a secret that no one else in the world gets to hear. Have you ever had a woman do this with you? Maybe you were sitting across from her, and suddenly her laughter softened, her sentences stretched out, and her words came out in a gentle rhythm that made you forget everything else happening around you. In that moment, it's not just conversation anymore, it's an invitation. Sometimes she'll play with this shift. She might tease you with a slower, more sensual tone. She might pause between words, letting silence linger in the air. She might laugh a little softer, almost under her breath, like she's trying not to break the spell. This isn't just talk, it's intimacy disguised as conversation. And here's the key. When her voice changes like this, it's not because she's suddenly tired, and it's not because she's bored. It's because her desire is seeping through, and her body is expressing it in ways she might not even consciously realize. Her voice becomes a doorway to her emotions, and if you pay attention, you'll know exactly when that doorway is opening. So the next time you hear her voice soften, don't ignore it. Don't brush it off as just how she talks. Listen closely, lean in, and recognize it for what it truly is. A sign that she wants more. A sign that she's ready for closeness. A sign that her heart and her body are aligned in desire. Because when her voice whispers in that softer rhythm, it's not just sound, it's a confession. Sign 4. Her body language opens up. They say words can lie, but the body rarely does. When a woman is urgently desiring intimacy, you don't just hear it, you see it. In the subtle ways her body shifts toward you, almost as if she's unconsciously removing every barrier between you. Let me share a story. Daniel once told me about a coffee date he had. He thought it was going well, but he couldn't quite tell if she was really into him. Then he noticed something. She wasn't sitting back with her arms crossed. She wasn't guarded, and she wasn't angled away from him. Instead, her entire body was leaning forward. Her knees pointed directly at him, her shoulders faced his. And every time he adjusted his posture, she mirrored him, almost like they were moving in sync without even realizing it. That's when it clicked, Daniel said. She wasn't just sitting there. She was opening herself up to me. And that's the truth. When desire rises, body language opens. She leans in closer, eliminating the physical distance between you. Her arms relax instead of crossing. Her hands rest openly on the table instead of clenching. Even her feet will betray her, pointing toward you instead of away. Think about it. When someone wants to leave, their body points to the door. But when someone wants to stay, when they want to get closer, every inch of their posture leans into you. Here's another sign. She starts exposing vulnerable areas of her body without even realizing it. She might tilt her head slightly, exposing her neck. She might tuck her hair behind her ear, revealing her face more fully. These little adjustments aren't random. They're unconscious signals of trust, openness, and desire. Have you ever noticed a woman fiddling with her necklace while she talks to you? Leaning in so close that you can feel her presence? Or maybe she crosses her legs toward you, not away, drawing the space tighter between your bodies. These are not accidents, they're cues. And mirroring? That's one of the most powerful signs of all. If you take a sip of your drink and she does the same just seconds later, if you lean back and she follows, or if you lean in and she instinctively leans too, her body is syncing with yours. That synchronization is her subconscious way of saying, I'm with you. I feel what you feel. Body language is the loudest whisper of desire. So the next time you're with her, don't just focus on what she says. Watch how she positions herself. Does she lean closer instead of away? Does she keep her arms open instead of guarded? Does she angle her entire being toward you as if you're the center of her universe in that moment? Because when a woman's body opens up to you, it's not casual. It's her way of removing invisible walls, inviting you into her space, and telling you without a single word, I want to be closer to you right now. Sign 5, she creates alone time with you. Have you ever been in a crowded place with her? Maybe at a party, a cafe, or even around a group of friends. And suddenly she finds a way to pull you aside. Just the two of you? That's not coincidence. When a woman urgently desires intimacy, she'll create space for privacy. Because intimacy thrives in closeness, not in a crowd. Let me share a story. My friend David once went to a house gathering. Music was playing, people were laughing, and the room was buzzing with energy. He was there with a woman he'd been getting closer to, but he couldn't quite read her feelings. In the middle of all that noise, she leaned in and whispered, let's check out the balcony. It's too loud in here. Out there, away from everyone else, everything shifted. Her voice dropped, her laughter became softer, and the way she looked at him carried a warmth that hadn't been there inside. David realized later that she hadn't really cared about the noise. What she wanted was alone time with him. That balcony wasn't about fresh air. It was about creating intimacy. See, when a woman desires closeness, she'll carve out those little moments where the rest of the world fades. She might ask you to walk her to her car, even though she's perfectly fine doing it alone. She might suggest stepping outside for air or pulling you aside to show you something on her phone. These aren't just random choices, they're opportunities she's creating for the two of you to connect privately. Have you ever had that moment when you're in a group and she suddenly directs all her attention to you? Maybe she lowers her voice almost as if you're the only one in the room, or she finds a way to sit next to you, even if it means rearranging where others are sitting. That's her choosing closeness, creating a bubble of intimacy that no one else is part of. Here's the deeper truth. Intimacy needs focus, and when she wants you, she doesn't want to compete with the crowd. She doesn't want distractions or noise. She wants your undivided attention, your presence, your energy, just the two of you. So the next time she suggests a little detour or finds reasons to pull you aside, pay attention. Don't dismiss it as casual. Ask yourself, why now, why here, why me? chances are she's creating the perfect stage for intimacy to unfold. Because when a woman urgently desires closeness, she doesn't wait for privacy to happen. She makes it happen. And when she does, it's her way of saying, I don't just want to be near you. I want you all to myself. Right now. Sign 6, her energy turns magnetic. Sometimes you can't explain it in words. You just feel it. The room might be full of people, yet your attention keeps snapping back to her. It's as if her very presence is pulling you in like gravity. That's what happens when a woman urgently desires intimacy. Her energy shifts, and it becomes magnetic. Let me share a story. My friend Chris told me about an evening out with a woman he'd been seeing casually. They were with a group of friends, nothing serious, just laughter and conversation. But as the night went on, he noticed something. She didn't need to say much, she didn't even need to touch him constantly. Yet every time she moved, his eyes followed. Every time she laughed, it echoed louder in his mind than anyone else's. It was like she was pulling me without even trying, Chris said. And he was right. She wasn't trying. Her energy was doing the work. Here's the thing. When desire rises in her, she radiates it. Her eyes glow a little brighter. Her smile lingers a little longer. The way she leans in, the way she positions herself close, even the way she laughs, all of it creates an invisible current that pulls you into her orbit. It's not just about what she does, it's about how she makes you feel. You feel drawn to her without knowing why. You feel her attention even when she's not speaking directly to you. And sometimes you'll notice others feel it too. Her energy fills the space, but somehow it's only for you. Have you ever had that moment when you were standing in a group, but it felt like you and she were the only ones there? Maybe she kept leaning toward you when she laughed, or her gaze found yours again and again, or the air around you just felt charged. That's magnetism. That's desire made visible. And here's the truth, this energy isn't forced. It can't be faked. It comes naturally when her mind, body, and emotions are aligned in wanting you. She doesn't have to announce it. She doesn't even have to touch you constantly. You feel it in the way she looks at you, the way she orbits closer, the way silence between you feels electric instead of awkward. Magnetic energy is often the final, unmistakable sign, because it isn't about one glance, one touch, or one gesture. It's about the entire atmosphere she creates around you. It's her unspoken way of saying, I'm here, I want this, I want you. So the next time you feel that pull, the kind of pull that makes your heart beat, quicken in your thoughts. Sharpen, don't ignore it. That's not coincidence. That's not your imagination. That's her energy wrapping around you, inviting you into intimacy without a single word spoken. Because when a woman's energy turns magnetic, you don't have to ask if she desires you. You'll feel it, deep in your chest, in the air between you, and in the way she makes the entire world fade, leaving only her and you. So, let's pause here for a moment. You've walked with me through all 6 signs, and perhaps you saw moments in your own love life flash before your eyes. Maybe you remembered a time when you overlooked these signals, or maybe a time when you caught them just right, and it changed everything. The truth is, intimacy isn't just about physical closeness, it's about emotional awareness. A woman's desire is often expressed in subtle ways, and when you learn to notice, to respect, and to respond with presence, you create a bond that runs deeper than passion. It builds trust, safety, and love. Here's the real takeaway. Don't just look for the signs. Be the man who listens, who notices, and who values her enough to respect the moment. Because intimacy doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in the way you pay attention. And if you can do that, your love life won't just improve, it will transform. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.